Scott Manavel has ideal farmland, and here in northwestern Ohio, just about all the land is incredibly rich. Today we're going to learn about just how the land got so flat and so fertile. It's a story that started about 2 million years ago.
In Williams County, during the peak of the last ice age, which would have been 20,000 years ago, you'd be standing on top of a glacier and you'd look in all directions and see nothing but ice. The glaciers that advanced across Ohio are actually tongues or lobes of ice that extended off of a larger mass of ice in the Canadian Arctic. And around northwest Ohio, estimates of thickness of ice may range from a half a mile to a mile thick. Then as the glaciers started to recede at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, the same area would have been occupied by a lake that formed. During its greatest extent, the lake extended over Wood, parts of Hancock, Putnam, Paulding, Henry, Defiance, and Fulton counties. Eventually the glaciers melted back far enough and the lake drained out, and that area eventually became known as the Great Black Swamp. What's left behind, of course, are the farm fields in northwest Ohio. The rich soils in northwest Ohio ultimately are related to the geologic history of the area.
Scott Manavel's farm is actually a few miles north of what was once the Great Black Swamp. 2 million years in the making, the Manavel soil is rich and fertile. But it's not just one type of soil. The glaciers left behind more than you might imagine.
We have a lot of different soil types. A lot of our farms have 5 to 7 different soil types in them, which sometimes can be hard to manage. Sometimes you have problem areas that are like a heavy clay has different problems than the sand on top, so you have to handle those and manage them differently.
To give us a feel for the land, Scott took us out on his tractor as he planted soybeans.
We have a lot of sandy loam, some Palamo, blount loams that are produced real well. We have some high clay knobs that don't quite produce as well, but overall, as an average, they're pretty good soils. This spring especially, everything's working quite well.
When everything is working well, how much can these fields produce?
150 to 160 bushel an acre corn in a good year, 45 to 55 bushel beans, 75 to 80 bushel wheat are average.
Every farmer feels a connection to the land. It's a bond that's forged over time, and land that's productive deserves a high level of respect and attention.
I think every generation thinks of that as technology and everything keeps coming and our knowledge of what's happening is getting better. We're just making better informed choices. I think they made good choices what they knew back then, and we're just trying to make good choices what we know now. And I think everybody wants the land to be better when they leave it to the next generation.
It took nature a long time to make this soil, but technology is rapidly changing the way farmers farm the land.
When my dad started out, they had probably 2-3 different varieties to choose from in the seed. Now I know some companies bring out 13 or 14 new corn varieties each year, half a dozen bean varieties each year. It's just with technology, the biotech, you can just about get your seed however you want it. There's just a lot of different choices and varieties we have that they didn't have 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Like most Ohio farm families, the Manavels have firm roots in the soil.
My great-great-grandfather come over from Germany. I'm the 4th generation. So my father started in 1959, bought this homestead here in 1966, and then I purchased it from him in 1990. I've been farming with my father since '84. I don't think I'd want to work with anybody else.
Every year, it's a gamble. Farmers invest time, sweat, and money, but their best efforts can be wrecked by Mother Nature. So for farmers like Scott Manavel, what makes working the land so appealing?
Being my own boss. I like to be able to make my own decisions, and whether they're right or wrong, I enjoy that. It's just the way of life. I've always been taught when I was growing up that if it's worth doing right, and when it's time to work, you work. It's kind of peaceful when everything's going good, and the soil's good if managed properly, and you get Mother Nature treats you right during the summer. Everything seems to work out.
Northwest Ohio has ideal farmland. Nature has put a lot into the soil, and now farmers like Scott Manavel are getting a lot out of it. And that's a good thing for all of us.